When you're looking at the SUV market, there are tons of options, and sometimes you want to go full size and maybe sometimes scale it back. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, what's great behind me is from the makers of Land Rover, and we know what they deliver, which is a lot of off-road prowess. Now, this particular offering, the Range Rover Evoque, definitely scales it down just a hair, but still delivers four-wheel power. So on the outside, the Evoque follows the same lines as the rest of the Land Rover lineup, pretty much those square safari-like exterior. Now what I like as well, it's a smaller offering, really starting with the roof line and the overall dimensions we'll get into in a minute. Now I like also the fact that we're pretty much body color all the way around with a lot of nice black inserts, heck, right across the middle, all black, contrasting this white exterior. With any Range Rover, what you expect is to be able to go off-road, and they deliver with the all-wheel drive system and the terrain response system. Both of those really delivering that typical Land Rover off-road prowess. Now, what we're sitting on here is 19-inch wheels. When you look at the overall numbers, this is far from full size, more specifically compact. Now, you're looking at 171 inches overall, wheelbase around about 104, and obviously less than 6 feet tall. Now, what's great about that, really squeezes any parking space quite easily, and if you go off the beaten path, really going to squeeze in down those dirt roads. Now what's great about the Evoque is really the front end differentiates it from the family lineup. Instead of the typical square, we've got a little bit chiseling and rounding of the front end. Now grille warfare is important, and that's what sets this vehicle off. Typical safari-like hood sweeping down to this kind of gray insert, white bumper, and then a lower gray fascia as well. Now what's great is we do have parking sensors up front. It's really going to help you get into those tight spots, and we do have equal parking sensors in the back, really giving you that radar-like feel sweeping around the vehicle. Under the hood, you're going to have decent horsepower, delivering in a 2.0 liter inline 4-cylinder engine. That's going to give you a little bit of boot scoot and boogie, about 0 to 60 in around 7 seconds. But what I like the fact is, well, it's the right power plant for this size vehicle, because anything bigger is going to be overkill. Anything less, of course, going to be anemic. So what I found is this vehicle had a lot of sport. One thing I like about the design of the Evoque really is the amount of glass, or at least the implied vision. Now what you see is a lot of glass on the doors, of course, and it's divided by the black inserts, and that really blends with the overall tint, giving this appearance of panoramic all the way around the vehicle, really separating the roofline from the body with this black stylized look. Now what's great is you have the typical windows, and you even have this nice black insert here of glass, and again the panels sweeping all the way around. One great feature with any SUV has to be the cargo area, and of course it starts here at the back. Before we dive in, let's talk about the rear hatch. One great feature I love is the huge oversized spoiler, something we see on other vehicles, and what's great is it hides the operation of the windshield wiper. It's tucked up under here, comes down when you need it, and tucks away, really getting rid of that typical eyesore you see here. Now one feature that's missing on a lot of SUVs and here is the pop-up rear glass. Now it's not a big deal on a vehicle this big, but for the bigger models, it doesn't hurt to have this be able to swing up to allow bigger items to swing out the back. Now for this model, we do have the power rear hatch, simple ease, you press right here and it's going to rise to the occasion. And what's great is the operation is really quick, and it has this kind of nice bend in it, giving you a lot of height even for my 6-foot frame. Now once you dive into the cargo area, what you're going to notice is actually an exorbitant amount of space, really plenty to hold any type of item, and of course you got the fold down rear seats, really expanding the cargo options. Diving into the cargo area just a little bit more, one thing I like is the tie down hook and the rack system that it's on. Now what that does is really give you 4 anchor points, and they're movable and they lock into place. Now the way to move them is just simply a button right here. You press it, slide it forward. More importantly, once you find the locking area, twist it, that's going to lock it into place. Now you can kind of flip these up, really anchor your things down, because that's really helpful, specifically because this is a safari-like vehicle. You're going to be off-road, everything's going to be bouncing. Put a net here, it's going to hold everything into place. Now we've removed the tonneau cover that's built in here. That gives you a lot of security, which is really crucial in vehicles because you can hide all the items. Crooks are going to be less likely to break into your car if they can't tell you have anything. Now that's going to be right here. It does get out of the way when you open the hatch, and then goes back into place when you close it. Lastly, under the cargo floor, what's really great is there is a full-size spare, something you expect, especially for a vehicle like this that truly goes off-road. With the tonneau cover in place, you can see how it rises out of the way when you lift the rear hatch, and it's really easy to remove if you don't need it. Now even better, it'll tuck back down, really giving you that security I mentioned. Now when you want to lower this, there is the old manual way. two nice handles here, and of course the button, which I prefer. Now when this gets out of the way, again, nice quick operation. Some vehicles take a lot of effort to get this done. This vehicle does it quite well. Now again, you have the backup sensors back here. Even better, a backup camera, and this pretty much comes standard across the board in what you need on a vehicle like this. When you climb inside the Range Rover, this is where this vehicle feels a lot bigger than it appears, and it really starts with the interior comfort. These nice high back chairs, that safari-like feel, and pretty much the overall dimensions. Now up front, around about 40 inches, just a hair less in the back, pretty much comfort all the way around. Now let's look at some of the electronics that really take this to the next level. Now you can definitely see the family line specifically in the entertainment system, because we saw this on the F-Type. A little bit different than that. It had a 4-quadrant system. This really putting everything in the middle with a lot of extra options on the side. Now one nice feature we found was right over here, the valet mode. Now a lot of vehicles have this. First time I've really tested, and what it does is allows you to put in a pin, and I've set one up here, and pretty much when you do that, it is going to lock out the screen, so pretty much your valet can't turn your car into an entertainment system. Instead, it really locks all the functions down, allows them just to park the vehicle and not turn this into a jukebox. To navigate around this system, one thing to really remember is this home button right here. That's going to take you back to the main screen and really kind of dial in exactly what you're looking for. Now it's really responsive. You hit the button, it's going to make it full screen. Hit the home, it's going to go back. Now what I really like was the navigation. Now that really allows you to enter destinations real easily, save some previous destinations so you can go back to them later. Makes all the function real easy. Now another nice feature is the Bluetooth system. Now when you go back here, you got a lot of options for your audio. Once you get there, you have the satellite, My Music, and when you go to Bluetooth, what's great is you can connect this while you're going down the road, have your passenger plug in all the information. Some vehicles really lock you out, which is kind of cumbersome and makes it so you have to pull over, reconnect your phone. In this case, this vehicle allows you to do it while you're moving. Of course, don't do the driver, but the passenger. Now navigation allows you to do all that as well. As you're going down the road, you type it in, makes everything real easy. Now sweeping down to the middle, one thing you're going to notice here, this continues on a little bit of the entertainment system. The volume control knob right here, again the CD player if you use the old school method. Now one thing to note on the audio, there is no tuner knob anywhere to be found, just like we found on the F-Type. Now I like the climate control here, keeping everything nice and equal, gives it a nice balance on the dash, and you do have some nice digital display for the temperature and all the other functions. One thing we found on the F-Type was that this area was a little bit more cumbersome. This area really being nice and sleek, the modes real easy to find, and all the functionality, especially the fan speed, real easy to control. Sweeping down, what you're going to notice is there's no typical gear shifter here, not even one on the steering column, but instead this nice central knob really dialing in your specific gear setting. Now what's great is when the vehicle is off, this knob actually tucks away for added security, preventing this vehicle really from being stolen, because heck, this isn't even going to be popped up or noticeable. Now when you look around, what you're going to notice is electronic parking brake here, downhill descent, and this Econo button. Now what that does is this vehicle will shut off when you're at like a still position, at like a stop light, and it will shut off and turn back on. Now that does seem to be a little awkward to me. I like to turn this off because pretty much I want my vehicle running all the time. Now sweeping down, what you're going to notice is the off-road prowess we talked about. Now I'm not a big adventurer, and if you've seen these before, it really dials in specifically what you're doing. Even better, there's a nice image to make it a lot easier for the novice. One thing I like about this design is really they hide the clutter when you don't need it, specifically the cup holders under this nice cover. Now when you need them, just pull it back. Got dual cup holders here, nice little storage for phones or whatever, and a charging area. Now even better is they have a somewhat small center console with decent elbow support, and if you notice, it's somewhat far back, but even better is it slides forward for added comfort, and that's really great. Now you'll notice that it does cover one of the cup holders, no big deal. When you need it, just slide it back. On the steering wheel, you're going to notice a typical gauge cluster, nice analog tach and speedometer, but with a nice digital display in the middle. Now that's controlled here on the steering wheel, where you can pretty much dial in exactly what information you need as you're going down the road. Now cruise control is going to be found real easily right here, with other settings on the left side for phone and entertainment. Swinging into the back seat, what you're going to notice is decent legroom numbers, sculpted rear seat backs, and nice seating positions. And I like the fact that the lower bench is actually sculpted really for the center occupant. They're going to have a little bit more leg room since this kind of tucks back. Nice lower humps, so you don't have any problems with feet position. Now there is no separate climate control back here, obviously a small vehicle, but we do have nice vent placement down here. Now again, for changing this from people hauler to cargo, it's made real easy, typical across the board. One central button here, swing it down, it's going to fold down. Now again, these are split, allowing to really kind of a 70 30 80 20 kind of split to leave people here, sweep cargo into this area. It doesn't hurt to have that panoramic view like we have around this vehicle. One other place to have it, well, is up above, and what you'll find is it's a massive, huge roof panel, really expanding the horizon on any roof glass I've seen before, giving you pretty much 360 view when you look up. With any vehicle, you want safety and security, and with this, it comes with the blind spot awareness. A little indicator there on the mirror lets you know there's vehicles coming by. Now, it didn't have lane departure system, which I'm not a big fan of, so no big deal. And again, it has the sensors all the way around the vehicle. Last thing is security. When you leave this vehicle, it locks. The way you know that is the mirrors tuck in. Of course, it lets out a little beep. What I would like, though, is glass break kind of sensor. Now when someone breaks in this vehicle, you break the glass. Typically I would hope that the vehicle would alarm, but that's not the case on this model. Instead, you're pretty much going to have to open the door. That's going to alarm the vehicle. So that's one nice feature I'd like to see go across the board on any model, is pretty much when someone breaks the glass, this car is going to know it. That does for this edition of Road Warrior, and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2015 Range Rover Evoque. Again, scaling down the SUV concept that everything is bigger means it's better. This one really scaling in quite well. Now what's great is, again, the interior comfort. Plenty of room for 5 passengers, plus all the cargo they deliver. Now under the hood, great fuel economy and a little bit of spunk off the line. Overall, the design is exactly what I'm looking for. A little bit of that safari-like-esque, with, of course, a little futuristic design. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.